Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports, boys and girls. We are waiting on Mr. Zach Albaverdi here to hop on the show to talk about Scrimage 1. Read some great things, looked like things are going well, but obviously first order of business, we've got to, you're right, probably should have started off with some somber music, TA, given the fact of what happened at practice today. We can't seem to shake this injury bug. Look, it's part of practice, it's part of fall camp. It is what it is, but it never makes it any easier to swallow that pill when it happens anyways. Apparently, it sounds like Jamari Lyons, defensive lineman, suffered a severe lower body injury. I'm assuming the knee is kind of what it's coming down to. Had to be off on a stretcher with an air cast. Apparently, the guys around him were pretty shaken up about it. Billy will be having a presser on Monday, so maybe we'll get some more about it. Again, wait on Zach. Hopefully he'll hop on here in just a moment to give us a better, synopsis of what he saw, what he's hearing. From what our people are saying in the Discord that are connected to the program, looks like it's more than likely, possibly, could be a year-long thing. Again, that's just, when you're looking from the outside in and how severe it is, I imagine they're probably not feeling pretty good about it. So that sucks. That sucks on the defensive line. Again, somebody who's really been making some leaps and strides in this offseason that we've heard about anyways, have been making some moves, definitely have had their voice heard, becoming a leader. He was part of that leadership, that accountability group of Cam Jackson with Caleb Banks. So all those things, Jamar Lyons was making some heavy headway in that regards. In the, I guess, the brighter side, right? We've been hearing about the great depth this team has, and I would argue that the defensive line has extreme depth. Obviously, with Slackman, Cam, Banks, Brian Taylor, the JUCO transfer. There's more that I can't think of at the moment, but so that's the one. I guess if you had to have a positive, that is the positive. That room does have a lot of depth, but it just blows. Got a good scrimmage. Again, a lot of great things. Hopefully Zach hops on here in just a moment so we can talk about it some more with him. DJ Lowry looked good, slinging the ball around. And there were some great quotes this past couple of days. Friday nights, we had some clips from practice. Asa Turner is just popping bodies. Apparently, Badger says he's got to put a mouthpiece in every time he lines up against Asa Turner because he's looking to hit somebody. Everybody's got a lot of compliments for everybody. Jordan Castell looked great as well this past game as well. Look, I'm waiting on Mr. Zach, boys and girls. I don't want to go over too much for him until he comes on here. Hopefully he comes on here. He said he was good to go. So maybe something just got caught up here in the moment, boys and girls. So we'll give him just a few more minutes, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, just like Boone last year. Yeah, 100%, Scott. It just feels like we get some momentum. We get a little bit of some grooving going on, and we get one of our guys takes a severe injury. So it's brutal. It's brutal. I feel like we're close. We're 2 weeks away. Can we let's get through it? Again, Montreal, we've been obviously hearing not as severe, so hopefully we'll be able to get going here in just a moment. Make sure he's not messaging me here to see where Mr. Zach is. Again, if not, we'll wing it. I got some things here we can go over. Some highlights. So let's go over the injuries just more. Kermani McLean, I don't know if you guys have heard about what's going on with Kermani, but he missed practice. I think it was Thursday. I talked to Cam about it. Actually, Sorley told me about it first, that Kermani missed practice. And of course, everybody's heads are turning around going, what's going on? Why is Kermani missing practice? And so Thursday, I was talking to Cam. He goes, yeah, he was not there, but we do not know why. And I was like, we're not talking about this. I'm not throwing this bait out there because that thing's going to be spinning out of control. What's crazy, if it's not Kermani, nobody would even bat an eye. But we understand the circumstances at hand. He's a hot commodity. So he was missing. And then on Friday, it was confirmed that it's injury related and that he was in the weight room. So it wasn't because he was late or anything crazy. And so he was sidelined again in a non-contact jersey with an apparent eye injury is what Zach's article is saying here. Pyburn and Cameron James. Cameron James, also another defensive line guy that we have, did not participate in drills either. Obviously, Pyburn is coming off of that knee injury. Not quite sure what he is what happened with Cameron. And the other guys that were sidelined. Andy Jean, non-contact jersey, left wrist brace. Jaquavion Frazier's wide receiver, non-contact jersey. Offensive line, Fletcher Westphal, I believe he's still coming off of mono. Cameron Cormani. Gavin Hill, right shoulder sling. Again, Gavin Hill was the defensive edge, I think, transferred to tight end, if I believe. And then offensive lineman Cameron Waits. So obviously we've been hearing, so hopefully Cameron Waits can make some moves. So that gives you kind of an update on the injuries. Again, nothing too severe on those guys that we went over. We know we're familiar with them. You know who I didn't read in that list? Montrell Johnson. Hold up. Hold up. Montrell Johnson's name is not on here. I'm assuming maybe because we already know that one. There's nothing written about him on what he did. Oh, there it is, up here on the top. Montrell Johnson was sidelined as well. Okay, so he's still sidelined as well. I mean, I would be surprised if he wasn't. So we'll see. We will see how it goes. We ain't even into week one, and we got injuries at defensive lineman. It's tough. It's tough. Montrell is not back according to this. He was still sidelined as of today. All right, boys. We'll give Zach a few more minutes here, and if it doesn't make it happen, we'll rock and roll, I guess. Bummer. Thought he was going to be able to make it, but maybe something came up, and he was unable to do it. Maybe he's upset because I forgot his H in Twitter. Well, I tagged him and took his H out. So we will see. But if not, we can go. I mean, we've got his article. I can go over and talk about it from on 3. If he's unable to make it. So, who's the names? For who, Clint? Who are we talking about? All right, so let's talk about. I mean, we've got Zach's article here. We'll talk about some of the guys that were breaking out since he's unable to make it. If he calls in, we'll bring him in, and we'll be able to we'll keep moving with that. But what a lot of people have been saying, even in our Discord, we've got Mr. Nobody. He believes Jacoby Jackson is going to be his dark knight for the year. Redshirt Jr. We saw him in the spring game, runs very hard. People were asking about Cameron Carroll. I think he's still coming over a lot of injury. Clint, Jamari Lyons is hurt. Zach is always late. Just ask Nick. Well, maybe we'll just give it a give it a little few more minutes. I mean, we're almost 20 minutes over 7:30. So we'll see. But Trayon Webb was able to turn the corner on a few plays. Jaden Ball had a long carry as well, it says, and Caden Daniels made some plays too. But Jacoby Jackson, he believes, was the best performance in the backfield today. Had a solid day with a couple notable runs, and one source described Jackson as a strong tailback who runs violently. Look, for me, that makes me feel good because as much as we love Ball and we love Caden Daniels and this young running back group, even Trayon Webb, I want that experience. And Jacoby Jackson doesn't have much experience, but just at least more time in the saddle in the sense of playing at a collegiate level. So we'll see, how that plays out. But look, I think we're going to be in good hands come Miami if Montrell is unable to play with Jacoby Jackson, Trayon Webb, and then I would imagine we'll see a little bit of a flurry of Ball and Caden Daniels. But if I was a betting man, Montrell sets out game 1, Webb and Jacoby, probably more of a 50-50 carry to really see who takes over there. I don't think it's going to be a set in stone. I think Webb will be number 1 on the depth chart when it comes out, but I'd be interested to see how the game flows and who really takes over. But Trayon Webb's put on a lot of weight and has looked really good from what we've been able to see. So I would love for Webb to really take off. He was a big voice of that 2023 recruiting class. Been able to talk to him. Incredible young man. So really love to see him step into that leadership role and own that back room. Doug Preston says, could Keontae Goodwin return if he wanted to? Is he playing anymore? Yeah, that was a conversation in our Discord because he is actually still enrolled at Florida, I believe, from what I gathered. So technically, I guess he could. He could. Will it happen? Those things I do not know. Tank Hawkins also, he says, had a big day. Caught 2 touchdown passes from quarterback DJ Lagway. So love hearing that Lagway had some good throws in there as well. He also said in his article that Lagway did look a little raw at times, but received a lot of reps. He had perfect ball placement on his touchdown throw to Hawkins in the red zone. Look, I think that is exactly what I would want to hear in our freshman quarterback. That he has the rawness still. He's going to make mistakes, but the everything else we want is there. Ball placement, making touchdown passes, feeling good, feeling confident, but still making some mistakes. And that's where I think that Mertz effect is going to have a huge impact on him. And the fact that we're hearing, hey, he's getting a lot of reps, goes back to the conversation that I had probably about a month ago of what I believe DJ should impact on this offense. Of like, he should have a role. There should be, hey, at this time, 3rd and 2, you're coming in, and here's what we're running every single time. In the goal line, red zone situation, we get in 2nd and 3, you're coming in no matter what, and we're going to do one or 3 plays depending on what the defense is showing us, and get him involved as much as possible to make it part of your daily routine. That way Mertz is aware of it, DJ's aware of it, and it's part of the rhythm to where nobody's really getting out of rhythm. We'll see. Well, I think we'll get a good taste of that, obviously, come Miami, on how much of he'll be able to do all those things. But we'll see. As for secondary play, what we've got here for us is Jordan Castell. Had an interception, a couple pass breakups, and one source said Castell has really good range and a nose for the ball. Look, I think that's the one, honestly, for me, the most excited to see because he got a ton of playing time last year. A lot of pressure was put on Castell to perform as a freshman, and I think he showed up and put out as much as he possibly could as a true freshman. And I think it's somebody who was kind of under the radar in the recruiting aspect of things. And so coming into his second year with the likes of Asa Turner now that he's able to look to and look up to, Triquez Bridges, all those guys, CJ Douglas, even though those are cornerback positions, just a more of a veteran experience for him. That safety room hasn't really had an identity the last couple of years, and I think Castell now will become that identity. Again, Asa Turner, I think, is going to be something exciting to watch, which is talked about as well, too, his 6-year transfer. He's a good tackler. Like I said, that quote, Badger puts his mouthpiece in because he's not afraid to hit somebody. We need that as well. We need that presence in that safety room. I think the combo of Castell and Asa Turner is going to be something special. And again, just what we're hearing. We weren't hearing these things before. I don't remember last year hearing a lot about the safety room being anything. I mean, who was it? It was Kamari Wilson, which obviously he had his own troubles on and off the football field. And RJ Moten, I believe, was supposed to be the safety, the transfer that came in from Michigan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, hold on. Apparently he had something that come up with his kids. Okay. So you can hop on now. Let's see here. Who got hurt? Jamari Lyons, defensive lineman. Looks like it could be pretty severe. We haven't had a hard-hitting safety in a long time. Don't get me excited. That's what I'm saying, guys. I mean, I feel like that safety room has not had an identity to where, that safety like a Major Wright could really have a presence. The cornerback, in a way, I mean, the last one I can think of is drawing a blank. Went to Buffalo. First rounder. Q. There he is, boys and girls. Let's get old Zach Alberverdi in here. Rocking and rolling. Let me get him clicked up in here. What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on? Sorry about the delay, my man.
Listen, not a problem, man. I can dance all day long, baby, so we're good. I was rocking and rolling. I figured something came up because we were going back and forth, and then it was just boop. I was like, something happened.
Yeah, when you get home from a late night scrimmage, you never know what kind of disaster you're going to walk into when you walk through that front door with the fan. But we got through it. It's all right.
That is true.
Now.
That is true. I appreciate you hopping on, man, and being ready to go. Is right after the scrimmage. I was going a little bit over your article, stalling a little bit to kind of give people what was going on. First order of business, I think a lot of us want to know what's going on with Jamari Lyons and what you're feeling about that. I heard it was pretty a gruesome injury. A lot of guys were shooken up about it as well.
Yeah, you hate to see stuff like this coming out of practice, scrimmage, anytime guys get on the field. Jamari Lyons had a pretty serious injury in Saturday's scrimmage. Don't know the details of it or the severity, but it was, bad enough that he had to be carted off the field. And like you said, it was a tough moment in the scrimmage, I think, for the players to deal with. And anytime you see a guy go down like that, and especially in that type of pain. So definitely put a damper on the day. And it's really, really unfortunate for Jamari because he was one of the guys going into camp that was trending up coming out of the offseason, and the staff was really high on the progress he had made. And, I just really feel for him that he doesn't get to showcase that on the field, at least in the coming weeks, because it looks like this will be an injury that keeps him out for a while.
Yeah, that sucks. I feel like this is part of spring camp. Texas just had the running back go out for the year. It's just unfortunate. It's just the way the cookie crumbles at times. And look, we were talking about this room too in the depth perception. That is the one I would say positive, and it feels like the first time in a very long time is you never want to lose anybody, but you immediately go, okay, next guy up. Where are we at? Like you have to be in that mindset. The room still feels like, hey, we're it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Like last year when Boone went down, that was a big hole to fill. This doesn't seem as big as a hole.
Yeah, it's what you don't like about it is just what he had done to kind of push the other guys at that nose tackle spot, because you got Cam Jackson there, you got Des Watson there, two guys that have struggled with weight, and really Cam is kind of a issue this offseason. And credit to him because he really has got his weight down. He was like 374 in the spring, and now he's like 340 something.
Mm-hmm.
So he's made a lot of progress, and they need that because now they're going to be leaning on Cam Jackson a lot more. You're going to be leaning on Des Watson a lot more, but you're probably going to need either one of these, young freshmen like Bordeaux or Robinson, or maybe you now have one of your guys that have been playing end, like a Caleb Banks or a Kelby Collins. He might be a little too small to slide at nose, but one of those guys that maybe contributes on like some pass rushing downs. But they're going to have to figure out some way to just fill that spot in the rotation, because Jamari was going to play a lot. I honestly think he was going to take snaps away from Dez this year. So now those might fall back on his plate, and they're going to need a little bit more out of him.
That is interesting. I think about, like, again, him pushing the other guys around him, right? Elevating that line. You can kind of, in a way, get slack knowing your job isn't up for grabs anymore with this. Let's move on. I mean, we kind of went over the injury list. Nothing too – let me bring you in here. Nothing too crazy to update. Montreal still day-to-day. Oh, let me see. It's still day-to-day. But let's kind of give the big takeaways from today and what was exciting and overall. I want to get your feel, too, because, again, you go to a lot of these practices. You go to a lot of these scrimmages. I'm trying to get everyone's feel of, like, where are we at with this, guys? You guys you're giving us some. I feel like there's a lot of optimism coming from you guys reading your articles, but it's always great to hear from you guys. Like, how are we feeling? What's the overall thought?
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, into a day like today without Montrell Johnson, I think everybody was curious how the running backs would do. And it sounds like each guy had their moment from what I've been told. Treyon Webb had a really nice run on the day. Jaden Baugh made a few plays. And then I think Jacoby Jackson might have been the guy that might have had the best day of all the running backs, just based on some of the stuff that I heard and just the way he impressed with his opportunities. So they're in as unfortunate as it is to have Montrell out, coming off of that Trevor Etienne transfer, everybody kind of felt like the running back room should still be okay. And I think today was a little bit of glimpse of that, because you got a lot of options there. Now, can one guy kind of take the bull by his horns and be the bell cow if Montrell can't play in week one? We'll find out what that rotation looks like when they play Miami if he can't go. But I think today was probably one of the most important takeaways on the offensive side of the ball was just the fact that each running back, even KD Daniels, all these guys made some plays today in the scrimmage. So that's a positive. I think at the quarterback position, all those guys played well from what I was told. I think, DJ had some moments where he looked a little bit raw, but he also threw 2 touchdowns. And is, I think, probably played better in this scrimmage from everything I've heard, probably played better in this scrimmage than he did in the 2 scrimmages in the spring. So that's a plus. And then, of course, at the receiver position, like, it's just like it seems like every other day we hear of guys making noise coming out of practice, and today it was Tank Hawkins that had himself a day. So, and I don't necessarily expect him to be high up in the rotation, but it just goes to show how many guys that they have that are capable of making plays in a scrimmage game-like setting. So, and then the defensive side, I think what we heard from some of the secondary play was promising. Castell had a good day. tackling seemed to be solid, which was obviously a bugaboo for this defense last year. So those are some of the things that jumped out from the sources that we spoke to. Obviously, again, we can't be there, so we're working the phones.
Yeah, they shut it down today. I know I was talking with Cam Parker. He was there earlier. You guys got some of the footage, just some of Cam's footage and photos of the warm-ups, right? This is just the drills that you guys were able to see, and then they kicked everybody out. But look, the secondary, we were talking just before you hopped on, we haven't really had an identity in that safety room in quite some time, and it feels like Castell and Turner are really encompassing that and feel like they're going to be able to bring an identity, which it's massive. I feel like the entire defense has lacked a little bit. The linebacker, we had Ventrell. It's kind of been we've had guys there, but the surrounding pieces, we've been grasping for straws when it comes to identity, and it feels like each room is starting to have its own identity from what we're hearing, from what we're seeing.
No, I would agree with that, and I think that Turner is going to make a huge difference, not just at the safety position, but the whole secondary, just kind of being able to be Will Harris's eyes on the field and the guy that can communicate with all the other defensive backs. Look, that was just not there on the back end last season because you had so many freshmen, or even when it was Miguel Mitchell, he's a true sophomore who really hadn't played as a freshman. So like you're talking about some serious youth at the safety net of your defense, and to go from that and that inexperience to a 6-year senior guy in Turner who played in the national championship game that's like a huge upgrade. So plus now Castell is not just this probably undersized true freshman defensive back who's starting at safety but played basically cornerback his whole high school career. So he probably has no business starting as a safety as a true freshman, but he did, and he played well. But like, he was under 200 pounds. It wasn't like he'd been playing safety for 4 years in high school. The guy hadn't played the position. Sure. So now he's a year under his belt, an all-SEC, ESPN All-American year under his belt. You pair him with Turner, like that right there is enough to feel really good about if you're a Florida fan. Jason Marshall seems like he's gotten his confidence back. I think probably having Turner back there makes him feel a little bit better in coverage. And then Devin Moore, he had another strong showing today in the scrimmage. Had somebody told me that he's the best corner on the team.
Wow.
And if you have him healthy, which he wasn't last year, if you have him healthy, you really all you got to do is figure out that star spot. That's kind of the one thing where I think we know it's going to be Sharif Denson, but how will he play? What will the rotation look like with Gates? How much do they play Bridges or Douglas there? They got a lot of options and pieces, but I think that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it sounds like finally a good problem to have with all those names that you just mentioned. And Marshall, I think that's a good point. Last year, you kind of felt like guys weren't being aggressive or attacking their lines because they probably questioned what was around them. Is the next guy going to get it? So they played very conservative because they didn't trust who was behind them or next to them to get it done. And now you've got this cluster of nobody trusting anybody, and they're looking around. Hey, Ray Davis is gone for another 80-yard touchdown, boys, because we were arguing about who's going to tackle who and not trusting who. Look, you got me giving me goosies talking about that the safety room again. Jordan Castell, like when you kind of size it up like that, as a kid had no right being here, given his history of high school, right, his size, all these things, and absolutely balls out. Now he has that under his belt. He's got Tyler Miles getting him beefed up, looking like an absolute beast. Will Harris coming in, and then now he's paired with a 6-year vet,
Turner.
National championship contender. I mean, an absolute killer. The white ninja is what we call him, an absolute beast out there. So it's defense.
I mean, no disrespect to the other guys, but like think about how Castell felt looking to his side or his left or his right and seeing Miguel Mitchell there or Bryce Thornton there, because that's who was there last year next to him. And those guys couldn't give him any answers either about what they were seeing on the field. They were just as green as he was. So it's just a completely different dynamic.
That's true. He's looking over to him, and they're looking at him for questions. And everyone's just looking around. Just go with the guy in front of you. I guess we'll figure it out. That's true, man. There's a lot of experience.
Like you're the one playing at the high level. They were probably looking at Castell for answers, and he's like, I'm also looking to y'all.
Yeah, they definitely didn't have it. Obviously, well, Bryce Thornton, he's obviously new. Miguel, he's obviously moved on. But back to the running back room really quick. You were talking my prediction. I don't think Montreal plays week 1. I feel like I know it's week to week. Nobody quite knows the scope of, pun intended there, of the injury and how long it'll be out. But I don't see Billy rushing it. I don't think there's a need to rush it. If we can get him back, let him sip Sanford and come back A&M, I think that's ideal personally. Unless it's not even that bad at all and he's good, then they want to have you. I think coming into it, it's going to be a Trayon Webb and Jacoby, and it's going to be like, hey, who wants it more? And that's what's going to be interesting to see. I think you got a really good iron sharpens iron situation there with the running back room, which I don't think we're going to see a big hiccup come week 1, and that should excite you too. When Montreal does come in, you got 2 backs that were just fighting for it like they were them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I'm Napier, I'm never saying he's out.
Yep.
I'm rolling him through warm-ups. I'm dressing him out in full uniform, having him stand on the sideline, and then he never goes in the game.
We're going to do, what's the quarterback from Utah? That's what they're going to do. That's going to be, we're going to be that this year. I can't think of his name right now.
Cam Rising.
The Cam Rising effect. He's going to run out there. He's going to jog out to the center of the football field and never take a snap. That's the whole play here. I said that a couple weeks ago. 100%. I love it. We've got.
Yeah. I don't think that he'll reveal anything, but my biggest concern with Florida's running back situation, if he can't play against Miami, would be how they handle pass protection and just Miami's defensive line. Not only in pass pro, but then just facing them in the hole and trying to get yardage and, fighting the trenches, because that's going to be a really good D-line unit, probably one of the best that they'll face. So to see how Trayon Webb, Jacoby Jackson, these freshmen handle that, it will be pretty telling about where their talent level is at.
That was my biggest concern with the loss of Montreal. People are like, oh, this back's talented. The room is talented, but there's much more. The presence on the football field. How Mertz feels like, is this guy going to have my back? I'm sure he trusts Mertz with his eye closed, or Montreal with his eyes closed. You're going to be looking over your shoulder a little bit with the other 2 guys. It's just natural. You don't know them just enough yet to feel comfortable enough. Speaking of, real quick, guys, though, it's Zach Alberverdi here. Go follow him on X. His number, his @ is it below. I don't know if you saw on Twitter yet, but for some reason when I typed it in, it did not. It deleted your H. But Dan Thompson was there on the ball. He tagged you in it. I re-tagged you in it. I don't know what happened. It deleted your H.
Go.
I don't know what happened there, but go give
shout out
Zach,
to Dan.
Yeah, dude, he was on it quick. Go give a follow, boys, to Zach. That's phenomenal work over there at On 3. Also, a shout out to you as well, because you shot Vernell Brown's commit video, which was like, I think it's up for an Oscar this year for short stories. So it was fantastic, man.
I appreciate it, dude. No, that was I've been fortunate to do a lot of commitment videos. That one was special because he's just an incredible kid. That was a huge recruitment for Florida. They couldn't mess that up, and I couldn't mess that up in terms of the video. I had to come correct.
You did a great job. What was so great about it, again, you messaged me afterwards, like I was hyped up. I didn't know. Like, you kind of had a feeling, like you're telling the story and you're leading me on. I'm like, at any moment, the shoe's going to drop, right? Like, that was what's so great about it.
And I love seeing you. I love seeing the mental gymnastics of you going through the copyright with the music. And just, you're hurting me, Trey. I had to let you know you were good to go. Shout out to Sincere. His music is safe for streaming.
I wish I would have known, because sometimes these kids will just throw stuff on there and I get hit with it later on. Now that I know that you be spitting on the mic too, I was like, could have been a Zach track. Who knows? Now that I know, I didn't know you're quick with it like that.
Yeah, man. Multi-talented, but yeah, if you ever any future commitment videos that you find yourself streaming on your channel, just know you don't need to mute it. The music's already been cleared. You're good to go.
I appreciate it. Good looks, man. I love that. Thank you so much. But one thing we haven't talked about that I know people are probably chomping at the bits, which was our biggest concern, how was the blocking? What's up with the O-line? Nobody's talking about it. Even in these first 5 practices, we're getting a little. Is there a reason for that, or is just nobody looking at it? What's going on?
Well, one, we're not seeing we're not seeing any of that. So that's, when we're in there, we're not going to be able to give anybody a real sense of what it looks like. So we're just having to ask around. Um, I think that the left side of their line is kind of where it was coming into camp. They feel good about Barber. They feel good about Harris. Obviously, Jake Slaughter is as solid as it gets, but
Yep.
that right side of the line is still a work in progress. I still think that Damian George and Brendan Crenshaw Dixon are the most likely to start, but that's a spot where they've continued to kind of use some other guys there. They want competition. Caden Jones is really pushing Brendan Crenshaw Dixon. He'd been out for a few practices, so that kind of set him back a little bit, but he's like, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's never even played a college game yet, and he's in contention with a guy that's started several years at San Diego State. And I don't think that's necessarily a knock on Crenshaw Dixon. I think it speaks to Caden Jones and his ceiling as an offensive tackle, and they feel like they got a really talented player there. So we'll see. They like Bryce Lovett at guard. They're playing with Cameron Waits there, but he's out right now. So that's not giving you a full competition. And then they are also cross-training Kearney at guard. So I think why you're maybe not hearing as much concrete info coming out of camp as it relates to the offensive line is because there isn't. That
Sure.
there's the guys that that you can count on have kind of showed up and been what they expected, the Slaughters and the Barbers. I don't think Harris is I think he's got that left guard spot locked down. But like I said, man, that right side, and it's not even necessarily a concern. It's just an unknown of how that's going to shake out.
Yeah, so look, I think that's still a better picture than we have right now. I'm visualizing it. Left 1, 2, 3 is solid, right? Which makes me feel good. I love Najee Harris. Love hearing that. We've been hearing that Barber has been playing. Last year he wasn't really healthy. This year he's him. He's dialed in, like you said. Slaughter is really kind of became himself last year in a just a distraught line. He was the shining star, but it was just so bad around him. It didn't matter. But PFS score comes out, and all of a sudden, like, we got a good center. It's like, yeah, it just you couldn't tell because the rest of the pieces are falling apart, and Slaughter's there. Just look around, and go, okay, I guess it's just me here today, boys. I love Damian moving to guard. I was a big component of that last year. Doesn't seem to have the quick feet. He's got a ton of experience. Transfer from Alabama 2 years ago. I love that. Crenshaw, we don't know anything, like you said. But Caden Jones is, I remember his recruiting process very vividly because he was one of the late commits in February for the 2023 class. And he committed on during the Under Armour game or one of those games.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yeah, big kid. And I remember when we got him, I was like, man, finally, a nice little 4-star offensive tackle. So Bryce Lovett was a 3-star, I believe. Not someone knocking off your page, but I remember big size. And Cam Waits, Achilles injury last year, somebody that we've been very high on. He's just been dealing through injuries. So, like you said, it's not a bad thing we don't know who it is. They're just, and we've been here, there's a lot of competitive depth. And even if they are rotating, that's good. I love the fact that we feel comfortable enough that, hey, we got plenty of bodies we can throw in here, and we'll probably be okay. We're not going to be, I mean, last year we were nothing. We were chomping at the bits. I mean, Damian George was at right tackle just getting slaughtered and like, hey, sorry, dude, there's nobody back here, so figure it out. And that was where we were.
The only other guy that they felt comfortable playing was Cameron Waits, and he didn't get himself to a point that he could start and play consistently long periods of time coming off that Achilles injury until the second half of the season. So, and even then, he still wasn't the Cam Waits at his full potential. So, you're right. They absolutely didn't have anybody else that they could plug in there. Now they do at pretty much every position. Like they even feel, despite them feeling good about Barber and Harris, if they didn't at any point, or if there was a matchup that was giving those guys trouble, they will 100% put Devin Manuel in the game, 100% put Bryce Lovett in the game without hesitation. Just to not have to watch a guy continuously get beat. Whereas that's kind of something that they had to suck it up and deal with in the past. So the fact that they're in that place on the left side, on the right side, obviously we talked about all the guys in the mix there. that's what you want. You want to be two, potentially three deep at every spot on the O-line.
I love that. Well, Zach, before we let you go, I do want you to give a chance to tell them where they can follow you. I know you got your Gators Online show that you do with Nick as well. So tell them where they can find you, where they can watch you, all those good things, man.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me on. First of all, too, I want to also say, Shelton, appreciate the love that you show all the reporters, and that you give people credit, and you just like shout them out, like I just appreciate that, because not everybody does that, that's one thing I admired about you, and obviously seeing what you did with the Verna hyped me up, being able to watch your live stream, man. So but yeah, man, anybody that wants to follow my work and kind of keep up with us during the season, I'm over at Gators Online, part of the On3 network. We got around the clock coverage. We do a weekly podcast with Nick and I, the Gators Online show. So if you guys aren't subscribed, come check us out. It's worth the visit.
I love it. Well, Zach, I appreciate those kind words, man. And of course, you guys do a great job. So, we wouldn't be here without you guys giving out the, out there on the field, boots on the ground, giving us that great information. So I love to be able to help you guys any way you can. You guys do a phenomenal job. And I always appreciate you guys coming on here too, and then being able to listen to my dumbass ask you guys dumbass questions. So it's always a pleasure, man. But we'll love to have you back on. This was a blast to get your thoughts and your takes on this. But yeah, be sure to go give him a follow, guys. And Zach, be good, man. Thank you again for hopping on so last minute and being able to give us this. It was a big day. Scrimmage number 1. So I was pumped to hear about it and talk about it. So thank you, man.
That's right.
Go Gators, Bubba.
Absolutely. Great being on, man. We'll see you again in the future, buddy. Take care.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you. Boys and girls, Zach Alberverdi there with us, joining us from Gators Online and On3. Fantastic stuff. Great information there that we got. So again, go give those guys a follow. Check them out on On3. Zach is always cranking out those interviews alongside, or articles alongside Keith and Nick, those guys, and Corey Bender. We haven't had Corey on, but he does a great job with recruiting intel as well. So love it, guys. 424 strong. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. And we will have a show Monday, Champs Corner. We'll try to get some clips. We'll have practice clips, I'm sure, from Monday that we'll be able to go over as well. We'll have Mr. Stephen Harris come on. Last Monday show was fantastic, getting his thoughts and opinions about everything. So it was a great time, good stuff. But good to see you boys on this beautiful Saturday. Didn't think we were going to have a show, but we had the injuries, had some good stuff. So appreciate Zach being able to hop on here and do those things for us, boys. But smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you boys in the next one.